you've obviously heard from a lot of founders and VCs this week. It sounds like about what it takes to raise and to build a company. Because let's not, sometimes it can get lost, right? That's the ultimate goal. It's not raising funds. It's actually right building a successful company. But I'll share today maybe my perspective more from an angel investor lens, and you can see if it matches, if it differs in any way from what you've heard this week from more institutional investors. Quickly before we dive in, just a generic disclaimer, this is for educational, informational purposes only. I'm not providing any legal, financial, technical, or investment advice in this talk. Yeah, always speak to a lawyer before you do anything, including raising funds, because you don't want to you want to make sure that you're have someone representing you and that you're not getting some weird terms in the agreement. There are a wide variety in quality of investors out there, unfortunately. And there's also a lot of scams of people pretending to be investors and trying to scam founders, unfortunately. So keep your head on your shoulders, and always make sure that you are speaking with trusted professionals for advice, which, to be clear, I am not. Moving on. So about me, I work a lot in token economics. So I'm currently over at Status, which was a large 2017 ICO in the Ethereum ecosystem, 2.3 billion market cap at its peak. Previously at the Stacks Foundation. Obviously, most of you probably have at least heard of Stacks, right? L2 for Bitcoin. Before that, I have a background in machine learning and TradFi. So I worked in algorithmic trading for Ray Dalio's hedge fund, Bridgewater Associates. I've been a founder myself, so have founded a Web2 machine learning company, have raised VC, have gone through accelerator programs, that sort of stuff. I'm also an advisor or angel investor in more than a dozen VC funded Web3 projects. That includes the big names that everyone's heard of, like Eigenlayer, where I'm just a tiny check out of many checks, to much smaller companies. Angel invested in a company from the last Bitcoin Startup Lab cohort, for example. I'm an advisor for one of the companies from the last Bitcoin Startup Lab cohort, and without naming them, for example, this is one of the values of a good angel investor is, even though my personal check, right, is quite small, I introduced this team from the previous cohort to a VC who ended up being their lead investor and offering them basically 3x as much money as they were hoping to raise. So that is a big value of angel investors, is not just the check they can immediately write you, which is, again, generally quite small, relatively speaking, but also the introductions they can make to angel syndicates and to VCs. I've written an entire book on tokenomics called Tokenomics for Builders. It is aimed at being very practical advice for people like yourself who are building Web3 businesses. So when that is relevant to you, check it out. And that's gotten some great press and some great reviews from really relatively big names in crypto, like Chris, partner over at Placeholder, the co-founder of Solana's largest NFT marketplace, and a few other quite big names. So that's a bit about me. I want to kind of start illustrating some of my points by looking at some example pitches and seeing at which pitch feels stronger to you guys. So here's pitch. We're going to do 3 different cases, and in each case, we're going to have an A pitch and a B pitch. So here's pitch 1A. We're building a marketplace for BRC20 on an L2 because BRC20 is the future, right? This is the okay pitch, right? They're building BRC20, right? That is a growing market segment, right? That is highly active. One could argue there's a wave they're riding, right? So it seems like a decent pitch. Let's see how that compares to pitch 1B. We're building a BRC20 AMM on an L2 because everyone who is building on the L1 is not considering that 10-minute block times on the L1 will create massive MEV and impermanent loss, or loss versus rebalancing, that destroys liquidity providers. I would argue that B is a much, much stronger pitch. Why? Because it demonstrates immediately a level of expertise in the field, right? And hopefully you guys are picking up on this, that it's one thing to say, oh, this giant wave is here and we're riding it. It's another thing to say, oh, this giant wave is here and we're riding it. And by the way, we're riding it better than everyone else because of this thing that we understand about the market, right? Hopefully we can perceive that it's subjective, of course, but in my opinion, pitch 1B, of course, it can be refined. I'm by no means saying it's perfect, but is stronger than pitch 1A, which for an equivalent product. So let's look at the second case. We are building a new decentralized stablecoin using ordinals with TVL increasing 30% week over week. Okay, cool. Another decent pitch, right? Riding a wave here, right? Some traction. See how this compares to B. We have an amazing team of 6 world-class developers building a new decentralized stablecoin using ordinals, and we're launching in Q1 2024. So who thinks A is stronger and who thinks B is stronger? I would say A is much stronger here. And the reason I would say that is because it has clear traction. So you're talking about how much, you're talking about what you're building, and you're talking about proof that it's actually being used, right? That it actually matters, that actually people care about this thing, that it's growing. Is this pitch perfect? No, not saying that at all. But it at least covers what you're building and some actual evidence backing up that it's something people, care about. Pitch B is much softer, right? There's no traction. The product sounds like it's not even live yet. And yet the team has 6 developers. Like, I'm immediately thinking about, okay, if I write you a check, what's your burn rate, right? If I write you a check, are you just going to spend that money like in a week and then I've lost all my money, right? So these are things to think about. We'll talk about this much more, but that's one reason why I would argue that pitch A, in this case, is stronger than pitch B. Third example. I went to Harvard, worked at Citadel and 2 Sigma, and I'm now building a MEV-free DEX. Cool. Incredibly talented founder, right? He went to one of the best schools, best funds. He must know what he's doing. That sounds like a pretty strong pitch, right? You'd want to back someone like that. Pitch B. I've used every DEX and AMM available as a power DeFi user and run one of the most profitable MEV bots with over 10 million in trading activity, and now I'm building a MEV-free DEX. Now, of course, it's a bit subjective, but in my opinion, I would say that B is much stronger here. I'm not saying that founder A is dumb. By the way, these could be the same person, right? This could be the exact same person making these pitches. So I'm not saying that founder A is dumb or that founder A is not talented, but just listing out accolades, all it tells me is that this person is smart. It doesn't tell me anything about what's their, insight in the market. What are they going to do? Like, smarter than other people, how are they going to succeed? Pitch B, on the other hand, tells me that not only are they smart, because you can't do these things without being smart, they've also actually used they deeply understand the market, and they're building a solution for a problem that they have intimate familiarity with, right? So again, this is kind of their accolades as well, but it's relevant in the context of the problem and the solution, whereas this is kind of relevant, but not directly, right? What if we how can we alter this pitch to improve it? Well, let's look at pitch 3C. I went to Harvard, worked at Citadel and 2 Sigma, and now I'm building a new MEV-free DEX for high frequency trading, right? So now it's like, oh, that is directly relevant. Like, this person worked at some of the best high frequency trading funds in the world. This is much stronger than pitch A. Is it stronger than pitch B? Maybe not, right? Maybe you'd want to combine these two, but hopefully this demonstrates to you that a couple different aspects of pitches that that can make something stronger or weaker, right? Burn rates, traction, team accolades versus team experience, right? And how do we roll all this up?